Time is now 6:32. Present is Councilmember Yarbrough, Councilmember Rodriguez, Mayor Pro Tem Mize, Councilmember Cornelison, and Councilmember Hodges. Quorum is present. Tonight, Addie Dazens from Watershed School will be doing the invocation, and we'll be doing the Pledge of Allegiance right after that, so if everybody could please stand.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the people of Godley. I pray for the leaders of Godley that they would not only that you would not only protect them, but make them a light to others and bless them. Lord, I pray for this city council meeting and all the other meetings that are going on to go well. I pray for the churches that they would speak truth into everyone. I pray for the schools of Godley and that nobody gets hurt or sick, and that they would finish out how much school they have left to go. I hope they finish it out strong. We thank you for everyone, but most of all, we thank you for your one and only Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, ma'am. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First topic will be public input. We have one speaker tonight. Doctor, I need some help here, ma'am. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you for your time. So if the ordinance number 05-2024-114 is approved, there are actions taken on it. I'd like to do a proposal outlining that the residents, and it covers military over 65, of the city of Godley receive a residential homestead exemption, property tax break. It will provide comparisons to other cities and highlight the advantages of future residential migrating to the city. Furthermore, it is troubling to learn that current residents are leaving Godley to move to a more exception-friendly city. For example, we've lost 2 families to the city of Axel. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I'm from Seattle, sorry. Based on property taxes, the homestead exemption proposal to the city council members will be presented to you probably June 18th or July 30th, whatever you guys decide to accept this proposal. Thereafter, a reasonable time frame to support or oppose said proposal before next year's 2025 CAD of Johnson property tax or face value notifications are mailed.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
We have no mayor and council reports, presentations, proclamations. We'll move on to consent agenda.
Police chief here? Is the police chief here?
Chief?
A month or so ago, y'all put on Facebook about a packet that was being dropped off around different places telling kids not to get a hold of it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Whatever happened with that?
We sent those off for testing. They came back not poisonous or harmful. Because of the anti-Semitic nature of it, I've contacted the FBI, and they still waiting on a return back to see if they're want to accept it. We did find out this has happened all over the place. Chicago, Hill County, Hood County, Granbury, I think Cleburne, and areas of Johnson County were also hit. I think Fort Worth has been hit by it as well.
There was, I talked to some people from the school, just passing through, and they didn't know, when I asked them, you know, if kids had said anything about this, none of them knew anything about it. They didn't see the post apparently. Is there any way to make sure that something like this, especially affects kids, that you can make sure that the school knows about it and they can post it somehow too?
Yes, sir. We did relay it to the ISD police. I will make sure it's better relayed next time.
Okay, they, done watching kids' ball games and stuff, and no one knew what I was talking about.
Yes, sir. And I will do a better job, make sure it's relayed.
Can't be, if you tell them, it ain't your fault if you tell somebody, hey, look at this. All right, that was my only question on that. Thank you.
Sure.
This is for the minutes.
Yes.
So I have a question. I do have a question on the new business. On one of these items, should we have the actual results listed in the minutes for the election to actually be on the minutes? Yeah, okay, the canvassing, like all the actual numbers, shouldn't they be in the minutes for record?
I've done that in the past, I mean, to me, that should be in there.
I'm sorry.
That should be.
Okay, so can we add that?
Any other questions for
Yeah, I do have one more for the police chief.
Chief Cantrell?
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Just wondering. Got another question for you. Not a big one either.
Yes, sir.
On your report, you list DWIs in town.
Yes, sir.
Are those people from here, or are those people just passing through on the highway?
Passing through. Yeah, so they're leaving the bars in Fort Worth, and some of them get lost.
Yeah.
Hey, time's up.
I have a question, Chief.
Yes, ma'am.
On your report, are Officer Sanchez's numbers on your report?
They're under
Okay.
the animal control and code.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
If that's all the questions, then I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the changes to the minutes with the addition of the votes from the canvas.
I'll second it.
I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem Mize and a second from Councilmember Hodges to approve the consent agenda with the addition of adding the canvass results to the minutes. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 No.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-1. Moving on to new business. A, discussion and possible action on refurbishment of the Godley City Park Veterans Memorial. Councilmember Yarbrough?
So it's no secret that the memorial is in pretty bad shape. It seems as though maybe one of the plaques, a couple of the missing plaques have been replaced. Seems like a couple were missing and now they're back. So I'd like to make a motion to direct staff to look into how we can refurbish this memorial and/or replace it to better, I think, better honor our veterans.
I'll second that.
I'm sorry, council, which way am I looking? Giving guidance to staff, is that a motion or is that giving guidance?
You can do it. I've seen it done either way, whatever you're most comfortable with.
All right, fair enough. Have a motion by Councilmember Yarborough and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez to direct staff into looking at what is needed for refurbishment of the Godley City Park Veterans Memorial.
I have a question on that. We were working on that months ago. I know it kind of, what has been happening? Can we build on what we've already talked about or what's already been discussed and looked at? Are we starting all completely over?
I think we slipped through the cracks, pretty much. We had made some inquiries, especially Misty had looked into some new, refurbishing the whole thing, et cetera, et cetera. It didn't really pan out. We had other things that got in the way. So now I, bringing it up again in order to see what we can do with Director Holden, since he is the king and master of our Public Works Department now. Maybe he can refurbish the existing one. If not, maybe we can look into building another one and adding names, honoring more veterans. Just like to get it going again,
Yep.
While we're, getting into budget season and all the rest of this stuff. Seems like things have slowed down just a tad, right? She says no, so.
He's giving them their shake head, no.
Anyway, I think it just kinda got lost in the mix.
Do we, as far as this administration looking at it, option would be to form a committee or I'd like you to look in if we can form a committee or something, get some public input on that. One or two people looking at it, it's gonna again fall through probably. I'd like to give several people looking at it with several options, whether we just refurbish or we build something new or whatever.
Well,
I know a lot of people in the community were talking about it before.
I wasn't here when y'all had started that project, and I've been a part of several of the memorials at different cities. So give us an opportunity first, staff level, to come up with something, because I'm sure that Sean has done the same in cities he was at, and come up with something that you would be interested in. And I'm not against committees, but it's easier for the council as a whole to look at that and look at a design at what you're wanting to do. Plus, it's gonna go by what kind of money you wanna spend as well. So give us an opportunity to gather some information and look at some other cities that you may be interested in what they have, and that may be something you wanna look at doing. And then we can bring that to you and then go a little bit further out.
Sounds good.
Okay?
Also, excuse me. We can also talk to the Boy Scouts, because I think they were involved originally with that, putting that out there. So they may be something that they want to get involved in. I know in other cities that they were the ones that paid for and raised money and funds to do a lot of the veterans memorials. At least when I went around to the cities, that was the majority of who did those.
Your EDC can also contribute to that.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I think your EDC could also contribute to that as well, because it being a park.
Is there
Memorial
grants also for that
park.
type thing?
Huh?
Is there grants for that type thing?
I'm sure there are, but there's so many hoops to jump through on grants for that kind of money. I don't think it's gonna be a large amount,
Okay.
but it just depends on what you want. It can be $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 at the low end and go all the way up, depending on what you're wanting. So let us get an idea of what you want first.
And just to be clear, my intention was that if we could clean this one up first and then look into maybe,
Right.
adding or tearing it down and doing something later. It's all an if.
And it
So
looks
that's why I
like-
thought,
It looks like it had been tried to be repaired or something at some time.
well, the stain on the front of it, I think, is because the sealant that goes around the plaque itself is, over the years, has worn off. The water's come through there, of course, and then it's washed off the back. And that metal has come through and stained the concrete in the front. That's my assumption. I don't know that is true or not, but it seems reasonable, so.
I thought I saw a crack down the front
Oh,
of
yeah,
it.
there probably is that too.
So I don't know what kind of shape it's in, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't wanna put too much money into something you might have to replace.
That's why I thought you guys would
Okay,
look into it.
we can do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 Motion carries 5-0. Item B, discuss and take possible action approving the city administrator to expend funds to MagnaFlow in the amount of $33,627.01. The emergency expenditure of the sewer leak on Highway 171, March 18th, 2024. Ma'am?
You probably all remember hearing about the, on March 18th, when they had the huge leak, sewer leak, and there was 24 loads of spill and cleanup that MagnaFlow had to take care of, which was a total cost of $33,627.01. So I'm just here to get approval to make that payment.
Make a motion to approve item B in its entirety.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez to approve item B in its entirety. Further discussion?
What causes that? What can we do to keep this from happening again? What's gonna have to be done?
The solution would be to upgrade that whole section of 6-inch clay sewer line that's running down 171.
From where to where?
Go ahead.
Where's it start at? And I know it ends up over here, but where's it start at?
Kind of by the subway area, from there down to the corner where you turn into our plant. That whole section is clay pipe, 6-inch clay pipe, and we really need to upgrade it to 12 or 14 inch PVC. So we did have an agreement with the developer that was coming in for them to upgrade that whole line for us, but that's been put on hold because of Johnson County Sub not selling any water right now. So this is some of the things we'll talk about in our budget workshops and stuff of, we need to go ahead and get this done before it happens again, like you said, and then how do we pay for it, and then maybe get reimbursed from that development when they start to build again. So that's in the works.
Okay.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item C, discuss and take possible action approving 3 full-time firefighters. Chief Thompson?
Mayor, council, good evening. As you know, this was
Turn your mic on, please.
This was brought to the city from the ESD back beginning in October, and we weren't in the position at that time to move forward with it. After discussions with Ms. Winkle and putting all the numbers together, I feel like we're now ready to present to council. The 3 positions, the ESD grant is, it's a 75% for the first 2 years, and it's based on the ESD setting a salary at $65,000. So the first 2 years, the city receives $48,500 from the ESD towards salaries. We're proposing the firefighter salary, which includes the FLSA built-in overtime, at $48,500. Our desire is to hire from within. Those people are already suited in uniform, bunker gear, those types of items. And then the eligible candidates for hire will certainly be certified firefighter EMT through Texas Commission on Fire Protection and Texas Department of State Health Services. The 3rd year on the grant process is a 35% pickup of the cost, which, if I remember correctly, that means they paid $22,500, I believe, on the 3rd year, and then the 4th year, the city picks up the full cost of the firefighter. So for the first 2 years, the cost to the city is the employee's benefit package.
What was the 3rd year salary?
I'm sorry?
What was the 3rd year, 22?
The
22.5.
22.5, yeah. It's 35% of 65,000, which is the number that the ESD sets. So.
I assume we're well within budget on that?
Yeah. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, we looked at the numbers today and went over his budget. He's got some savings in some areas, and I'm estimating their benefits for 3 months, because this is probably the best time to do this, because you're looking at June, July, August, well, actually, July, August, September. So about 3 months is about $20,000 for benefits, and that's on the high end. So there's some savings there to go ahead and put that in, if that's the next step that y'all are wanting to do with that. And with the ESD covering that much of their salaries, that's not very much for 3 full-time firefighters, giving you 6 plus your chief, so you'd have 7. So that's a pretty good grant.
This is gonna relieve some of the workload off the existing
Yeah,
firefighters as well, right?
it helps with continuity, people working together, on shift together. For me, there are days when we have had only our one full-timer on duty. There's days that we look really well staffed, but there are those days too that we have just the one full-timer. Which usually makes me come down from the office and drive for whoever that one full-timer is on duty. Lieutenant Abbott, I've driven for him several times, but that's where we are. 2 people, in my opinion, is certainly safer than 1 when you're driving an apparatus, a big apparatus down the roadway. 1 person by themselves is honestly just not real safe, so, but.
Make a motion to approve item C in its entirety, 3 full-time firefighters.
I'll second it.
We're done hearing from you.
Thank you.
You have said hello.
I have a motion from Councilmember Yarbrough and a second from Councilmember Hodges to approve item C, to approve 3 full-time firefighters. Is there further discussion?
How many volunteers do you have nowadays? Or do you,
Our total staffing right now is 32.
and you having a problem during the day not getting volunteers whenever you have
Right, well,
a rain call out?
at times, you can never guarantee a volunteer.
I understand during the daytime especially.
Yeah.
3 years from now, it's gonna cost us $100,000, over $100,000 to cover that, and 4 years is gonna cost us $250,000 to cover these 3 guys. How are we gonna pay for it in 3, 4, 5, 6 years down the road? Where's that money coming from? I know it's budgeted now, but we can't say you work 2 years and see you later.
My expectation would be with the growth that we're seeing is where those funds would come from, but I can't give you an absolute.
How much money do we actually get from the, what is it, EDC?
ESD. Currently, we're getting about $550,000 a year from them. With this grant, those monies go up, of course, and then, the ESD is also, we have the opportunity, if we did buy a ladder truck or if we buy a new fire engine, they give us $500,000 every 5 years towards a new apparatus. So one of the things that the ESD, why they're offering these grants, is they're trying to take good care of the taxpayers' money in saying, we want to ensure that you have the fire protection coverage that your ESD tax is paying for. So they push me towards this, and then I come and stand before you, so.
And that'll be up to us and staff to come to you at budget time with a plan of how these are gonna be fulfilled and how we'll have to take over their payroll at that time. But right now, if it's the intention of the council that they want to add those 3 firefighters, and it was my understanding you're wanting to go that way with a full-time fire department, because of the growth that you have in the city and the fact that the ESD is offering that kind of money to fulfill those positions at this time, I wouldn't pass it up, because it's a larger grant than what you get in other counties. And then, you know, as your sales tax starts coming up, you just passed, or the voters just passed your alcohol sales. That's gonna be more tax money that'll come through too. So, I don't foresee any problems with that, as long as we're working with the ESD on the funding of it.
Okay.
Mayor, will
Right
you
now,
call
it's
for a
great.
vote?
Down the road, it may be a little high.
It may be, but you have to, you've gotta provide fire protection and police protection. Those are the two things we've gotta provide.
Okay.
I have a call for a vote. Councilmember Yarbrough.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item D, discuss take possible action approving resolution number 05-2024-14, providing for the formation of a capital improvement committee and appointing its members pursuant to Chapter 395 of the Texas Local Government Code.
That actually changed to an ordinance instead of a resolution. Lindsay can explain why.
First question before we get to there.
Sure.
We had clarification that the members must be city residents.
That's how this ordinance is currently drafted, yes.
City limits?
Yes.
What did I say?
Unless the impact fee is also going to apply to your ETJ, then you have to have at least one member that lives in the ETJ as well.
But we don't provide any of these services to the ETJ, so we would not be collecting the fees from them. So at this time, we've not received enough names to field a committee.
So I'd like to make a motion that we postpone this till the next meeting, or table it to the next meeting until we can come up with postpone.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and a second by Councilmember Hodges to postpone item D until the next meeting, which will be, one second, I'm sorry. June 2nd? I'm sorry, I was looking at July. June 4th? Further discussion?
Yes. We are able to offer sewer services in our ETJ, correct? Not water.
I'm not, I can't.
Isn't that true? Not in the ETJ?
No, I wouldn't think so.
We give sewer to them all now.
No, they have to, if I recall correctly, they have to volunteer to come into the city limits in order to get that service provided to them.
What say you, Counselor?
And I think I would agree with that.
So.
Say you, Dean. Is that true? Or do you know?
Are you,
Both counselors. Two heads are better than one.
That's it. Sound like a tennis match.
Didn't the high school get sewer services, but they're not in the city limits?
The high school is in
High
the
school
city
is in
limits.
high school's in city limits?
Is it? Okay. All right then. Well, that's what I was thinking of, so, all right.
So these subdivisions that are around, none of them are in on our shoreline?
Which ones?
I thought that, the one behind the school, the old school,
Star Ranch?
yeah, maybe, I don't know the name of it.
Yes, they are.
But they're in the
So
city limits, but the one that's just now being sold out.
Rosemary Fields?
No, well, Rosemary Fields maybe, but no, I'm talking, I don't know the name of it. But we've had plants come in, booster plants, and, I don't know, I'll take your word for it. If you tell me that all the ones are in the city limits, I'm more than happy to say, okay, fine, because I don't know.
That's
But
always
I
been
thought
my
there was
understanding.
more that, I
They
thought
have to
there
be
were
in the city
several.
limits to provide that service.
I thought there was more that wasn't.
The question would be Wildcat Ridge as the lift station, and only part of that's within the city, so I don't know how far the sewer goes in Wildcat Ridge. Sean, do you know?
I don't know that off the top of my head, I'm sorry, but, they do have a lift station there,
So
for sure.
that might be a subdivision that's split between city limits and ETJ.
Yeah. Phase 1 is ETJ, phase 2 through whatever city limits.
Mm-hmm. Only like one phase is in it, city.
If we're gonna table this, I'd like to make sure that that's the case, that they are all in the city limits, or which ones aren't.
So even if they own a business here, but they don't live here, they still can't serve. They have to live within the city limits.
That is my advice, yes. That they're residents of the city of Godley and they live within the city limits.
Any further discussion? Councilmember Yarborough? Oh, sir?
Because you're advising that they be in the city limits because
Because this is a committee that's gonna be making recommendations that directly affect the citizens. And I think it's standard practice to have the people making those recommendations and reviewing all of these procedures and the implementation of these impact fees would also be residents of the community that they're representing.
would business owners then qualify because they are gonna be more impacted than residential owners? Could we work it that way or no?
And it's our ordinance, can we rewrite our own ordinance? Or
Yeah,
is that in
what
line with
exactly
law?
is the law on
I think
that?
we're on the
Yeah.
same page here.
So generally, no, that wouldn't qualify as a citizen. And I think the way that the statute that creates this committee was written, I think it anticipated, because there are provisions that provide for a city's planning and zoning commission to also sit as this capital improvements advisory commission. And you wouldn't have anyone in your planning and zoning commission that wasn't a resident. Typically, you wouldn't have anyone in any committee that wasn't a resident, within your city limits. And I also think, and Mayor Linker brought up a good point earlier, that the fact that the option, right, if you're going to impose this impact fee on your ETJ, then you have to have someone from your ETJ that lives in your ETJ also be a part of this committee. And I think that goes to support that the anticipation is that it's going to be people that live in the community that they're representing.
It severely limits our pool of
Yeah,
people.
and with that argument, my argument would be, now you just said, if they're in the ETJ and they're getting that fee, then we should have someone from the ETJ. But a business owner still is going to have those impact fees brought in when they come into the city, so how can they not have a say, but yet we're gonna give someone in the ETJ say just because they get the fee also?
Well,
You understand what I'm saying? Because it'll affect them just as much as it will that person in the ETJ.
Sure, so that's why it would just be a resident of, it would have to be a resident of the city limits or someone that was within the ETJ that lives there, not that owns a business there.
Why,
But the
does-
impact is not-
why is the ETJ person needed in here?
Yeah.
How can we force them to pay a fee, or do they do that when they buy the house to begin with?
For their water and sewer.
But if they're not on our water, with nothing, and if they're not on our sewer,
That's the only time that's implemented.
Correct. So if that's not the way that the impact fees are currently, how we believe those are currently going to be assessed, then you don't need anybody from the ETJ. That's just part of the statutory language to ensure that if you are going to, wherever you are going to impose this impact fee, wherever you have the ability to do it, you have someone representing that community on this advisory board.
So that part of it wouldn't affect the city.
And if we can't find anybody that meets the requirements, for example, 40% need to be realtors and or developers, right?
Correct. So if you have 5 members, you'd have 2 that represent those industries.
So if we don't find those, then the committee can't really meet or do anything.
Correct.
they don't have to be realtors, whatever, they just have to be in the business of, construction or that type of work. They can be an owner of a company.
Correct.
They can be,
Oh, does it say such as realtor? I thought it was
It's
described
just
as.
someone that represents real estate development or the building industry. So if if you are related to that, if your daily work is related to that in any way. So, and a realtor, I think, obviously is going to be a prime example of someone that would represent the real estate industry. But there's not a requirement that you have a realtor on the board.
Okay, fair enough.
But they have to live in the city.
Gotcha. Well, thankfully, this is just an advisory committee anyway, so.
It is absolutely just an advisory committee.
Sean, before we vote, give you guidance to verify Wildcat Ridge, whether anything in the ETJ that's going in that development is part of, that's going into the lift station, that would change this dynamics. Councilman Yarbrough?
Is this to postpone till the next meeting?
This, yes.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0 to postpone this to the June 4th meeting. Item E, discuss and take possible action approving resolution number 05-2024-15, adopting the City of Godley Personnel Manual. Ms. Winkle?
I would ask that this be postponed. I might have work session, one final work session to go over, this manual. Because there were some questions that come up, and I want to make sure we've got everything answered and every question answered before we adopt it.
Okay.
I'd recommend somebody make a motion of no action so that we're not setting a date on
Make
this.
a motion for no action on this item.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to take no action on item E. Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item F, discuss and take possible action approving ordinance number 05-2024-113, providing for hours of sale for alcoholic beverages and regulations for the sale of alcoholic beverages near churches, public hospitals, and schools.
Did Toes write the ordinance?
We did, yes, sir.
I'm
Yes.
sure you,
It was just standard things that
Standard
we needed
stuff.
to adopt. We will have to go back and add some more things later, like hours, if you wanted to do late hours. Me and Lindsay just discussed it, because I talked to TABC, and we just needed to start somewhere, because we didn't have anything, and people are already requesting to apply for alcohol licenses here.
make a motion to approve item F.
I'll second it.
I have a motion by Councilmember Yarbrough and a second by Councilmember Rodriguez to approve item F in its entirety. Is there further discussion?
Yes. On the Sunday, during the week, alcoholic sales stop at midnight. On Sunday, they go till 1 a.m. the next day. I don't, explain that to me. Am I reading that wrong or what?
It's Saturday, they close at 1 a.m., which would be actually a Sunday morning.
Correct.
Okay, well, that makes more sense than going out on a Sunday night till 1 o'clock.
Says you.
Hell.
Further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough?
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0. Item G, discuss and take possible action on approving ordinance number 05-2024-114, providing a residential homestead property tax exemption for individuals who are disabled. Ms. Winkle?
I believe Lindsay prepared this ordinance at the request. We had this requested that the council consider establishing a ceiling for the over 65 exemption. And I think that's in here, the over 65. We already had the disability, and that was already in place through the county.
No.
So and that was a very old ordinance that she recovered. So the disability was already set. I think the county had that backwards to what you and I looked at. So that one's already set. Now this is just the 65 exemption. And so that's for a $10,000.
Flipped. You already had an over 65 exemption. This is for disabled persons.
I know, I'm just saying, well,
They only have the 65, not the disabled.
Oh, I thought it was the disabled ordinance that you sent me.
This,
Disability. This is over 65? Okay.
this one that's drafted is, yes, just for disabled persons. You already have one for over
Over
65.
65.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So this ordinance also adopts an exemption for a disabled person.
What's the definition of disabled?
It's very convoluted, it's very complicated, and there's a long definition that you have to meet, under the tax code.
Don't they have to apply at the tax office for that to qualify?
Correct.
Yes,
Correct,
for both of these exemptions.
correct.
So this is just the ordinance for what the council approved 2 meetings ago, I think, or was it the last meeting?
It was 2 meetings ago, if I'm not mistaken, where y'all said that it would be 10,000.
Mhm.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was 2.
So
2
yes,
meetings ago.
this would be the ordinance adopting that.
I'll make a motion to approve that ordinance as written.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Councilmember Rodriguez and a second by Mayor Pro Tem Mize to approve the ordinance as written. Is there further discussion? Councilmember Yarborough?
Yes.
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 Aye.
Motion passes 5-0 to approve ordinance number 05-2024-114.
And this will be sent to the county, and long as it was adopted before July, then this will go in.
It's 10K, right?
Uh-huh.
Item 8, items of community interest. Godley Night, on here it says May 22nd, it's actually Friday, the 24th. Is there any other items I'm not aware of?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am?
Do we, still have flags available to place down the park for Memorial Day? I know at one time we did.
Okay. I'm not aware of anything, but I will check and.
I just feel like we should put something out for Memorial Day.
And that's happened in the past?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They were on, there were poles down the 917 section of the park. There was a row of flags that went in.
Just 517?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
Anything further?
I wanted to ask if everyone was still gonna be available on the 28th for the work session. I know that's right after Memorial Day. It's gonna be a special call meeting.
I'll be available.
28th.
Monday, Tuesday?
Tuesday the 28th,
Tuesday?
next Tuesday.
Maybe.
Should
I
be.
assume so. but
For
Budget work session.
budget, oh, yes, yes,
Get
of
that
course.
kicked off, get it going.
Yeah. Yep,
Fun times.
yay.
Yeah.
Yes.
What time?
I'd like to start it around 5:30 if that's anywhere possible. And this is gonna be a very relaxed, work session. I'm not even gonna have you at the dais, I'm gonna have a horseshoe-shaped table down here. It'll make it a lot easier with the directors, working with council.
Pizza and beer?
Absolutely.
Would you send out a reminder on the
I
email?
will.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to tell you what we want on the pizza and what kind of beer.
It has to be Miller Lite for those calories.
Oh, man.
The closed meeting of the City of Godley, Texas will now be held pursuant to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Section 551.071, consultations with attorney, and Section 551.087, discussion regarding economic development negotiations with Hunter Park Development Agreement and River Hills Development Agreement.
And 551.074.
Oh, yes, and 551.074, personnel matters, appointment, employment evaluation, reassignment duties, or dismissal of public officer or employee. Mayor,
Yeah, seven one, but not seven two.
It should be for city attorney.
that was 7-1.
Oh,
I did say 7-1.
You said 7-1, it's also 7-4.
Personnel matters.
Yours still says
It's
last week.
city attorney, it's on there.
Okay,
But yours says
Mine says
last
other.
week's. Yeah.
section 551.074, personnel matters, city attorney. Time is 7:18. My cheat sheet was wrong. The Godley City Council adjourned its executive session at 8:32 PM and reconvened in open session at 8:37 PM. We now have any actions from executive session?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation from the EDC and to authorize our city administrator to negotiate and execute their agreement, including voluntary annexation of all adjacent property owned by the applicant.
Second.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Mize and a second by Councilmember Yarbrough to approve the recommendation from the EDC and authorize the city administrator to negotiate and execute the agreement, including voluntary annexation of all adjacent property owned by the applicant. Is there further discussion? Councilmember Yarbrough.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 5-0 to approve the recommendation from the EDC and authorize the city administrator to negotiate and execute agreement, including voluntary annexation of all adjacent property owned by the applicant. Is there any further business tonight? Meeting is adjourned at 8:38 PM.